What you have just seen, these little companions on my tea table, they are called teapads. Hello, my tea friends. Welcome back to With Tea Time. Today, I want to share the story behind the teapads, where they come from, and why people raise them on the tea table. I guess many of you are familiar with them, and some of you might even have a few. But what you might not realize is that behind these tiny figures lies over 1,000 years of Chinese history and an entire way of understanding time, patience, and daily life. So today, instead of simply showing you what teapads are, I'd like to take you a little bit deeper, where they come from and what they truly represent, and why, even today, they continue to speak to so many people. To really understand teapads, we first need to understand the world they were born into. Let's go back to China between 7th and 12th centuries, the Tang and Song dynasties. This was a turning point in Chinese tea culture. And tea was no longer just something that people drank, but it became something that people experienced. Scholars, poets, and artists began treating tea as an art form, so they paid attention to atmosphere, mood, and the objects on the tea table. So stones and small sculptures and curious objects appeared, not for function, but for feeling. And these were not yet teapads as we know them today, but they marked the very beginning of the idea. And that idea didn't fully take shape until much later, during the Ming and Qing dynasties between 14th and 19th centuries. And that's when the important changes slowly came together. First, pottery. In Yixing, zisha clay craftsmanship reached a new level. Artisans began using leftover clay from teapots to create small figures. Zisha clay is porous, so when tea is poured over it again and again, it slowly absorbs the tea and develops a warm and natural shine. This was quite a revolution. So objects on the tea table were no longer statics, but they could change, age, and grow. Once people noticed this change, the scholars paid attention. Ming and Qing literati began to treat the teapads as part of their daily practice, pouring tea and wiping gently and observing subtle changes. And this daily repetition became a form of self-cultivation. In Confucian thought, and this is called investigating things to understand life. So by observing small changes, you began to understand the bigger truth. Of course, over time, and teapads also began to carry clear symbolism. The certain shape means wealth, good fortune, protection, and harmony, and it reflects a very Chinese idea. Nothing is made without meaning. Form and intention always go together. So now we know where teapads come from, but history alone doesn't explain why they still matter. To understand that, we need to look at what teapads do, not physically, but emotionally. So teapads may be small, but the ideas behind them are surprisingly large. So in Chinese thought, tea is not about stimulation, but it's about awareness. And raising a teapad turns this idea into something tangible. So the slow and repetitive actions, waiting, pouring, observing, so ask you to be present. So you're not improving an object, but you are adjusting your own rhythm. Another key idea is the relationship between people and objects. So a teapad is not used, it responds. You give it care and it reflects that care back to you over time. And this is the idea of harmony. So growth happens together, not through control. And one of the most powerful things about teapads is that time becomes invisible. So the patina doesn't appear quickly, and it reminds us the meaningful change is slow, uneven, and impossible to rush. So in a world obsessed with the instant result, and this quiet lesson feels almost radical. In addition, teapads are also special because they are approachable. So they carry philosophy, but they don't demand explanation. Anyone can place one on a tea table, and anyone can begin. And this openness allows teapads to move across generations without losing their depth. At this point, a natural and important question comes up. Why are tea pads especially appealing today, and especially to younger generations? The answer isn't about nostalgia, and it's about what tea pads quietly provide. Many young people today live with constant stress, speed, comparison, uncertainty. But tea pads, they don't compete and they don't measure progress. They simply exist and change quietly. And each tea pad ages differently, so there's no correct pace and no right result. And that freedom from comparison and expectation is deeply comforting. So tea pads turns waiting into trust, and when you can see time working, waiting no longer feels empty, and it becomes a part of the experience. And additionally, a tea pad doesn't talk back. So it doesn't demand energy, so it just simply shares space with you. For many people, this kind of presence matters more than words. So in a culture that celebrates speed, and choosing something slow is a decision. And tea pads, they don't resist the modern world loudly, but they do it quietly by reminding us that not everything needs to move fast. So what is a tea pad really? It's not just something we place on a tea table, but it's a way of relating time and a way of practicing patience and a reminder that care repeatedly, quietly, always leave a trace. In a world that keeps asking us to hurry, and tea pads invite us to stay. Thank you for spending this moment with me. I hope you don't have to rush, that you can enjoy each small moment around you. See you next time. Abwarten und Tee trinken.